I've sort of got a progression here. Are you me talking to me?
Yes.
So
We're the part of you that never worries and always loves.
So if I'm out of the vortex, or if I'm separated from myself, so me going to my ability to be in the vortex is me becoming perfectly me.
Uniting with you, yes.
And
blending with you.
Therefore, I'm connected. And as you just said, I then have access to the thoughts of Source.
To the knowledge of Source, to the energy that creates worlds.
So therefore, I'm then connected to myself. But what if I want to be connected to every person in this room? I want to be connected to other humans, not just connected to myself.
Well, it's possible for you to do
And is that important?
It's possible that you could do such a good job of tuning to who you are, and that you could hold your alignment with who you are so profoundly that you could influence everyone in this room to join you in the vortex. It happens sometimes at concerts where something on the stage is just so compelling and people are just sort of swept away in a vibration of well-being, and so they just all go to this good feeling place together.
But what is it that separates us from each other than judgment, or is that it?
Well, what separates, so we really like the way you've presented this. So let's start with the premise that you've practiced your way into the vortex, you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, you're feeling good, and you're in the vortex consistently. And because you hold steady to that vibration, others join you there. And for the sake of this conversation, let's say everyone in this room gets in the vortex, and so now you're all connected with Source and you're all connected with each other, and under those conditions, talk about a wonderful congress. Talk about a wonderful mastermind. Can you imagine people from a lot of different walks of life who have asked for a whole lot of things, who all want the world to be a better place in a variety of different ways, all converging with no resistance in such a way as to allow that all to be? And that really is happening gradually. It's just that most of you are so short-sighted that you don't get to see the benefit of the part that you've played in all of it. So your question, what separates us from each other?
Yes.
Here we would like to answer this question in a little different way. What separates you from each other is not as important as what separates you from who you are. And what separates you from who you are is what separates you from each other.
But if I'm connected, if I'm not separated from myself,
yes,
will I still be lonely?
Well, no, because loneliness is separation from self, and that's the only thing it is. That feeling of loneliness is not about not being around other people. It's about not being in alignment with who you are. Lonely is that empty feeling of not alignment.
It's not a feeling of being disconnected from each other.
It's the feeling of being disconnected from who you are. In other words, there are plenty of people with no one around who are completely content in their alignment with Source.
I don't think I'm saying this the right way. Maybe I don't know how to ask my question.
Well, it goes back to the funny analogy that we were attempting to be funny with earlier, when we said to the woman, you're not sad or lonely because your lover left.
I get that.
You're lonely because you're not in the vortex, and you're using the excuse to not be in the vortex to be because your lover left. So same thing applies here. You're not lonely because there aren't people around you. You're lonely because you're not in the vortex, and you're using people not being around you as your excuse to not be in the vortex. Can you hear it?
I hear that. I'm sorry to be so troublesome.
It's all right. It's no trouble. We're eager to move into a new place.
But I noticed that there's a religiosity almost about connecting with Source, and that's it's meditation. It feels incredible.
Yes.
But
and
I
not
see
lonely.
people
And not lonely.
No, and not lonely at all. But I see people, individuals, unable to connect, who are working to do that in this room even. And so is there something that people are doing or not doing that would help them be together more?
Be together with what?
Each other.
Well, here's the thing. We're sort of working against each other a little bit in this. It's all right in this question in this way. There's a bit of what we are calling a flawed premise, and from your perspective, you may think that our premise is flawed, but that it isn't. But it goes like, here's the flawed premise. Often, you're born into an environment, and someone, let's say you're born to your mother, and when she looks at you, she loves you. She's been waiting for you. She's glad you're here, and she can hardly take her eyes off of you. And when she looks at you, she loves you. So now, you look back, and what you see is her seeing you and loving you. And you love that feeling, because as she holds you as her object of attention, in her appreciation of you, she's connected to Source, so she's offering one stream, and she's flowing it at you. And oh, does that ever feel good? Mm-hmm. But then, if you get addicted to that gaze, if your well-being is dependent upon her holding you in that gaze, you get in trouble right away, because she's got other things to do. And she might not always be connected. She might be worried about something or troubled about something. So she might be holding you as her object of attention when she's not connected to the stream. So then you begin to be self-reflective. You wonder what you did that made that good feeling come from her, and what you're now doing that's making that bad feeling come from her. So now you begin to try to adjust your behavior to get good stuff to always come from her. Only you can't control it, because she's got other things to do. You're not her only object of attention. So that's what happens to so many people. They care about, Esther was talking about this the other day, thinking in terms of these group dynamics that are going on. This is a very small group. You all love this venue so much that they're making it work, even though there's not a larger meeting room here. But often there are more people gathered. It's a larger number of people who come. So frequently someone will come up with a book and ask Esther or Jerry to sign their book. And Esther used to say, all right, and she would sign the book, and then people would line up. There would be a line of 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 people that would want her to sign the book, and there wouldn't be time to do it. And so Jerry said, Esther, if you don't sign the first book, you'll disappoint that one person. But if you sign it, then you're going to disappoint 200 people, because there's just not time with these large numbers to do that. So Esther's sort of grappling with that, because she doesn't want to appear rude, even though she knows that that is a valid understanding. Scotty, who in larger rooms knows that if Esther stops to answer a question, often there's another and another and another. But even more, Esther is wanting to hold herself in the vibration of Abraham. And sometimes a person will come because they've not been able to get into the chair. And because Abraham doesn't see them, because their vibration is not in the vicinity of the vortex. And so they will come to Esther. And when Esther gives her attention to them, she feels the pulling. In other words, it takes her, if she listens to them at all, it can take her right out of the vortex. So with very good reason, Esther doesn't, and in a room like this, most of you would probably take her into the vortex if she talked to you. But how does she help you understand that there might be one who sees that, who then wants to? And so Esther's in this position where she can't make you know what she knows, but she cares what you think. And we say, Esther, you must not care what they think. You must not try to contour your behavior to please those who can't understand. And everybody falls into that category. You just cannot move your life around in enough different ways to keep them all happy.
So you just have to be.
So you just have to be selfish enough to keep yourself in alignment with who you are. In other words, think of what you give when you tune to who you are. Look at what happens in a gathering like this, where you tune to who you are and Esther tunes to who she is. And together we take thought into that whole new place. It's the picture that you are describing. Yeah?
Is that because I'm controlling the only thing I can control, which is my thought?
Yes, perfectly stated. And we would enhance it just slightly by saying you're controlling the only thing you can control, which is your relationship with who you are.
That's right.
You're controlling your alignment, and then you're letting the law of attraction sort it out.
I got it.
You did get it.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.